Today I'm going to give you the 3 butcher knives that you need to go ahead and complete any of these projects. We're also going to talk about care of the knives, and we'll throw in a little sharpening and honing just for kicks at the end. Have you been to the grocery store recently? Prices of meat are going crazy right now. The best way that you can combat those prices is to learn to cut meat yourself. And that's what I'm here for. That's what this whole channel is about. I taught you how to break down a whole ribeye, save money. We broke down a whole strip loin, save money. Tenderloins, chuck rolls, everything you can think of, we break down on this channel to save money. Come with me, we got a lot to do today, let's go. So this is a breaking knife. Now it is a 10-inch breaking knife and it's used for cutting large pieces of meat. We got to cut through a whole strip loin. I need this blade surface to go all the way through from edge to edge on my strip loin or my ribeye. It's also great for taking off exterior fat on like a chuck roll or some big cut of meat that you really need a long blade to do so. The breaking knife kind of has this signature of this tip that curls up at the top. When you're slicing your steaks, you're going to bring your elbow up slightly, and that's going to cause this tip to go down into the meat and really come out nice and smooth and easy. It's a great knife when we're doing these big meat projects. And you know what? It's crazy because people don't have this knife already. It's a very specialty knife, but it's very essential to make your job easier when we're doing these big projects. All right, next we move on to the 6-inch boning knife. Now, this is for finer work. This is for taking off silver skin. This is for smaller pieces of meat that you need to cut the exterior fat off. This is to get in between muscle groups. This is to get around bones. This is your precision tool that will get you in those finer areas so that you can separate the right muscle groups. An analogy that I always talk about is a golf analogy. I'm not much of a golfer, but you get the idea. Your breaking knife is kind of like your driver. It's the one you're going to get through most of the hole with, right? We're going to get through most of cutting down a big piece of meat with our breaking knife. And then this 6-inch boning knife is your putter. So this is how we're going to fine tune it and finish out the project. Driver, putter. Yeah, horrible golfer. Sorry, horrible golfer. Now, stick with us because after we go through, this is only knife number 2 out of 3. And then after that, I'm going to show you how to sharpen these large knives. They're kind of tricky, so we're going to go over how to take care of it and how to sharpen it, so stay with us. The third knife, which I think is essential if you're going to start cutting your own meat, is the 12-inch slicing knife. Now, this is a great knife, but this is for after we cooked, okay? So we've gone ahead, we've broken everything down, we cooked all the meat. Now it's time to slice it once it's already been roasted and cooked. So the 12-inch slicing knife is long for a reason, so that we can make nice sweeping cuts all the way down this cut of meat so that we don't have saw marks. So we just have a nice even slice. It also has these dimples in here. Those are not just to look cool, they have a function. It provides a little air gap between the stainless steel knife and the meat itself, so it doesn't stick as much. This knife is great for prime ribs, for roast beef, things like that. You can even cut whole pieces of lunch meat with it, things like that. If you buy a whole piece of lunch meat at Costco and use this to slice it, you don't have to break out a meat slicer, or if you don't have one, this is a great alternative. These 3 knives together, I think, make up the starter kit for you as a home butcher, as you are learning more about cutting meat at home. So again, we got you covered at the Butcher Wizard. All these knives are available on Amazon, so I will put a link in the description. These are the 3 knives I suggest you pick up in order to start saving money cutting meat at home. But don't worry about it. We got more stuff coming. The problem becomes, like, we got these big knives, but how do we take care of them, okay? This is not your normal small knife, so how do we sharpen this thing? I'm gonna show you a couple tips on how to care and sharpen these knives, and that way they stay sharp forever. So what I'm gonna do is put a link in the description that will take you to a 10% off code. You go ahead, you click it, you'll put your email in. I'm gonna send you a private code that will be just for the viewers on the YouTube channels. And we'll send you to where you need to go, but it'll be good for 10% off any knife in the Butcher Wizard store on Amazon. All right, let's talk about sharpening. All right, so we have these knives. For today's purposes, to keep everything simple, we're gonna talk about good old stainless steel knives. I know there's high carbon steel, there's Japanese steel, there's all these things. We're gonna go with the easiest to take care of, which is the stainless steel knife. It can take a beating. It is super durable. And when we're beginners and we're doing a lot of things, the stainless steel knife is probably the best one for you before you upgrade into some sort of crazy metal. It's super durable, and you can really just beat the heck out of these things, and they bring back their edge really quickly. And so this is the one I suggest that you use. The first thing we're going to talk about is honing. So think of your knife sharpness as a single piece of paper. And then every time you use your knife, that edge of that single piece of paper gets folded over just a little bit. And then it gets folded over a little bit more. And then a little bit more and a little bit more. And before you know it, you have a edge that is folded at the very, very blade apex. We need to bring that edge back, and it happens pretty quickly. I suggest you get a honing steel. Now, you may even have one of these because they come in a lot of knife sets. So if you ever see one of these, this is what a honing steel is. Now, basically what happens is you're going to take your knife and you are going to take a 20-degree angle, and it's a pretty thin angle, and you're just going to go down the honing steel, one edge of the blade and the other edge of the blade. Now, you've seen chefs being cool where they just do, where they don't even look and but slow down, slow down, slow down. Take it nice and easy. You see my elbow goes up as I'm doing it? Okay? Nice and easy. We're going to create that edge. We're going to bring that edge back. And then we do that a couple of times every time we pull our knife out of the drawer. So every time we pull it out of the block, we are going to hit it with the honing steel, and that keeps it nice and honed. You can see with a longer knife, you're going to have to, this elbow motion is going to have to be a little more pronounced, okay? I still want you to do it with these bigger knives, but like you're going to start at the very top and then come down either side. And again, just gonna keep that knife super sharp and honed at all times. Now, at some point, through the use of your knives, the honing steel will not be good enough, and we're gonna need to go and sharpen it. So basically, back to my paper analogy, the sharpening is just grinding each edge down so that it comes back to that perfect apex and that perfect sharpness. And to do that, we're gonna go old-fashioned with a whetstone. Now, it's not a whetstone, W-E-T stone, it's W-H-E-T stone. And so when you're looking on Amazon or things like that, check the link in the description, but if you're searching for it, it's W-H-E-T-S-T-O-N-E. Man, the spelling bee today is crazy. But what's gonna happen is we are going to take our knife along this stone, and that's what's gonna do the sharpening for us. Like with the honing, it gets a little trickier when we have a bigger knife, a longer knife. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that real slow and show y'all what to do. First thing we're gonna do, wet down the stone, and then you're gonna go into a 20-degree angle, which is a very shallow angle. And we're gonna go from one edge of the knife to the other, and you can hear that sharpening, that scraping that's happening, that is coming down, and that is really taking down the edge on one side. You want to do this 20 or 30 times, and then we'll go ahead and switch to the other side. I switch hands, and there's different techniques, but different people do it different ways, but we just want to have, you can almost hear that sound. And as long as you do it consistently in each direction, you're gonna be good to go. If our stone's getting dry, we go ahead, add a little more water, boom. We want that to really slide. We want it to really slide across the edge of the knife. You can see how when we wipe it off, we've already taken off a bunch of steel here. We've taken it off, and we're bringing that edge back to its sharp apex. You can hit it with your sharpening steel at the end, and then we are back to a super sharp edge. Now, big knives, okay? Big knives, what are we gonna do with a big knife? Same deal. Here's our 10-inch breaking knife. We're gonna start at the tip and go all the way down, making sure we contact the entire blade surface with the whetstone. Switch hands, and then we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Putting a little bit of pressure down. You hold firm with your wrist so you can go hard with that angle, but you just want to put constant pressure down. Again, these bigger knives, a little bit more tricky because we got to make sure we get the entire length of the blade. But again, we have taken off some of our stainless steel there, and we're back to a pretty good edge. And we are back in business. I do suggest that you do this on a regular basis. Get all your knives out, get all the garb, get all the stuff, and then it just makes it easier to hit them all at the same time. That way you always have sharp knives. We're back in the paper shredding business here. Look at that. That is a sharp knife. From here, we're just gonna, then it's time to store. When you're storing, we wanna make sure maybe you have a guard like this one, and you can put your knife in a little guard like that. Okay, those are available online. At the Butcher Wizard, the 12-inch slicing knife and the 10-inch breaking knife come with this cool box. So you can go ahead and store your knife nice and sharp, nice and clean, and store it in the box. Put this in your drawer, and then it's ready for whenever you are. So thank you so much for coming on this journey with me on what knives you need and how to take care of them. We will see you on the next one. Again, check the link in the description for all the stuff. You know the drill. See you later.